I'm here with Ian Raymond to talk about the Honeywell Project, which is a biomass project at Winnisquam High School, Junior High School, and SAU.
It's SAU 59, which consists of 6 school buildings. We have the high school, middle school that are on the same campus, and then there's 2 elementary schools and a middle school. I'm sorry, 2 elementary schools.
Now, is the Honeywell
The 6
Project
buildings,
all 6 buildings?
Yes.
And does that include the 2 other, the biomass and the solar, the second biomass and the solar?
No, Honeywell wasn't involved with those. So the performance contract that we used with Honeywell, that was just for doing building envelope upgrades, electrical lighting and pump upgrades, and the biomass plant at the high school, middle school.
And about 5 years ago, we did a walkthrough of the biomass plant. It was right after it had been commissioned.
Yep.
And we're here today as a follow-up because I'd like to ask you about the results. How did it go and what'd you learn from it? Let's start with how did it go?
It went extremely well. When you do a performance contract, the energy service company generally is very conservative with all of their figures because they are guaranteeing the results. So if you don't meet their plan, they will have to cut you a check for the difference between what they projected the savings should be and what they actually are. Mm-hmm. So when they put together their projections before the project begins, they're very conservative with their numbers. And as it turned out, as of the last measurement and verification report, we were actually 119% above plan, meaning that we had more than twice the savings that they had originally told us we would get.
And tell me about those savings.
So this is as of year 6 of operation, and we've had an energy cost avoidance of $164,780 to date for that year, for year 6.
That was just 1 year.
1 year, yep. And so the net results overall is that so far we've saved as of year 6, and now we're coming into year 8. But as of year 6, the last time we did the measurement and verification report, the savings, the energy cost avoidance was $1.388 million.
And how much do you suppose it's risen to over the last 2 very cold winters?
I would guess that for year 6 we'd had an energy cost avoidance of $164,000, and I would guess that it probably carried on at least that. That's sort of the median number mm-hmm. for the 6 years. Another couple of years at another $250,000. So probably up around $1.6 million in savings now.
$1.6 million. Okay, and just to review, how much did this cost the town to put in the biomass project?
So the biomass plant itself was $2.3 million, and then there was another $1.3 million in all the other projects that we'd done, the building envelope upgrades and the lighting and all of that. So the total project cost when we did it was $3.6 million. And as to the cost to the taxpayers, it didn't cost the taxpayers anything. It was a self-funding project. We put together a financing package that consisted of $667,000 in energy rebates from the utility company. And then we had school building aid at that time, which was a huge help. And for our district, school building aid covered 50% of the project. And then we did...
That's the aid that's been, the legislature's put on hold for 40 years, right? Until the last bond is paid off.
Yes, I don't recall the exact details. I think there is still some school building aid available for emergency type building situations. But yeah, it's not open to just any district anymore. And then we did the balance with a performance contract through Honeywell.
How does that work? How does a performance contract work?
So with a performance contract, an energy service company like Honeywell or Johnson Controls, or there's about a half a dozen or more in the country. Honeywell we'd gotten the best references from. And so what they will do is they'll come in and they'll do a benchmark and sort of take a look at what you're doing currently for energy usage. And they'll do data logging of, you know, when the building's being used, the temperatures are set at, all of that sort of thing. And then the energy audit will tell them what types of projects they could do that would save energy, and they're very good. Their engineers will come in and they'll tell you exactly what they anticipate you could save in energy if they do these certain projects, whether it's building envelope upgrades or whether it's the lighting. Lighting's a relatively easy one to calculate, but building upgrades, building envelope upgrades is a little more difficult with air leakage and, you know, things that are and aren't insulated and things like that. And then once they've done the energy audit, they'll give you sort of a menu of the different types of things you could do, and what the pricing would be for that and what the energy savings would be. So you generally try and do as comprehensive an energy project as you possibly can and still keep it as a self-funding project. That's the ideal. You don't just go for the low-hanging fruit. You try and do as much as you possibly can.
So what were the other things that were included in this project besides the biomass?
So as I mentioned, we had the building envelope upgrades at all 6 schools. We had lighting upgrades at all 6 schools. We had variable frequency drives put in on the heating systems. We had occupancy sensors. We had daylight harvesters where there were places where there was daylight coming through windows so that it would shut off the electric lights when the light levels reached a certain point. Occupancy sensors in the bathrooms and things like that. I'm trying to think. So altogether we installed 2,658 new lights throughout the gymnasiums and throughout all of the school buildings. I think it was 76 occupancy sensors, and I don't remember the numbers on some of the other things that we had done, but you know, weather stripping on doors and insulating of pipes that weren't insulated. We put a new roof on the ag building, and switched the heating systems that were able to be switched. We switched them from oil to natural gas. So there was a number of things that they had done.
These are the heating systems outside of the campus that's heated by...
And the one inside too, because in the shoulder season they still use natural gas. They shut down the biomass plant and use natural gas during the shoulder season.
And that's more efficient?
Yep. We've been very happy with it. They haven't had any issues to speak of. The maintenance people at the high school, middle school where the biomass is located have said that it's actually easier to take care of the biomass plant than it would be for an oil boiler. They haven't had any. They had one issue one time where they'd gotten kind of a bad batch of wood chips that had gotten frozen. There was some blocks of ice that they had to go in and shovel out. But aside from that, in the 8 years that they've been running, they haven't had any problems at all.
And saved the town $1.6 million without a penny of cost to the taxpayers.
Yep.
Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you.